ਵੈਲਕਮ ਟੂ ਦਿਸ ਐਪੀਸੋਡ ਆਫ ਦਾ ਹਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਸ਼ੋ। ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਸੈਗਮੈਂਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮੁਲਾਕਾਤ ਕਰਵਾਉਣ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਵਾਂਡਾ ਮੋਰਿਸ ਨਾਲ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਵਾਈਸ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਟ ਹਨ ਕਾਪ ਦੀ ਐਡਵੋਕੇਸੀ ਬ੍ਰਾਂਚ ਦੇ। ਕਾਪ ਉਹ ਸੰਸਥਾ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਿ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਮੁੱਦਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਰਾਸ਼ਟਰੀ ਪੱਧਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਂਦੀ ਹੈ। ਅਤੇ ਹਾਲ ਹੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੁਣਿਆ ਕਿ ਸੀਅਰਸ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਪੈਨਸ਼ਨਸ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਦਿੱਤੀਆਂ ਜਾ ਰਹੀਆਂ, ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਮੁੱਖ ਰੱਖ ਕੇ ਇੱਕ ਪਟੀਸ਼ਨ ਸਾਈਨ ਕਰਵਾ ਕੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਭਿਜਵਾ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨੂੰ ਕਿ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੀ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਹੋਣ ਤਾਂ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ। आओ इसी संबंध में काप वालों जो कुछ किया जाता है इस बारे जानकारी लेने वांडा मॉरिस दा। Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you in Surrey, and especially CARP has opened up its branch here in Surrey also. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what is CARP's focus going to be here in BC?
Well, I'm Wanda Morris. I'm both a chartered accountant and I have a chartered professional accountant, and I have a master's degree in transforming spirituality. I am very keen on improving healthcare, financial security, and human rights for Canadians as we age. So here I'm based in BC. I'm still running our national advocacy program, but also intent in growing our advocacy and our membership in the West, in BC and Alberta.
Right.
I know here in BC we've heard members talk about concerns with wait times, with the status of long-term care. They're concerned about end-of-life issues, and we're here to help.
Well, that's wonderful. And also CARP already has been on a national level where it has raised many issues, and the government has listened to the members because it's a big organization. Now comes a point when people are concerned, especially when Sears Canada terminated its agreement with lots of people, and it's been said that people are not going to get the pensions who are working over there. Could you just tell us a little bit briefly about it? What is the situation right now?
Yeah, this is a really serious situation, and Sears is but the latest example. So what happens is when an employee reaches an agreement with their employer, they agree to take so much of their pay in wages and so much as a deferred amount that will be paid as a pension after they retire. So the employee works for years or decades, and now suddenly Sears is trying to pull the plug on that agreement. To the extent that they've already funded the pension, the pensioners will have that asset, but there is a significant unfunded liability, $270 million that Sears hasn't funded, and they're just they may just walk away from that entirely. That's not okay.
Right. So how is CARP now trying to bring attention to this particular issue? And this is one example, but there will be many other examples also. So how is CARP trying to advocate this issue?
Well, when we heard about this issue, we were horrified, and we started to look into the laws to see, like, how can this be legal? And we looked at what other countries do. So what we found out is that, for example, in the UK, pensions are 90% guaranteed. In the US, there's a guarantee of $56,000 per pension, but in Ontario, there is a little bit of a guarantee, a $12,000 guarantee, and the rest of Canada, here in BC, there's nothing. That's not okay. And what happens is that companies with unfunded liabilities in their pensions can spend their money elsewhere, as Sears did, even though they have this hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt, 270,000. They recently gave dividends in the last 5 years of 600 million.
Wow.
So so they've got this 270, I think I said 270
million
million pension obligation. They could have paid that when they made this extraordinary sale. Instead, they gave that money to the shareholders, and now their pensioners are left on the hook. So what we're asking for is a change to the bankruptcy legislation, and we're asking for pensioners to have super priority. So what that means is when a company becomes insolvent, generally there's some dollars, there's some assets left, and it's a question of who gets those. Is it the bankers? Is it the taxman? And we want pensioners to be, if not at the very front of that line, very close to it. That's what super priority means. And we're asking the federal government to change legislation so that pensioners, I mean, if you're a bank, you have lots of loans.
Right.
If you're a business doing business, you have lots of customers. But if you're a pensioner, this could be your entire financial nest egg. Also, you don't have time to go work at another company for 20 years and build up your assets.
Right.
So we're treating our most vulnerable individuals the worst. And when we heard about this, we said CARP has to get involved.
Right. So this means that right now there are no consequences for a company that has unfunded liability?
So there are different formulas that are in place, and companies have to fund liabilities, but over a period of time.
Right.
And so right now, a company like Sears can have, and I think they do have about 15% of their total obligation unfunded.
Right.
And that's going to come right out of the pockets of pensioners.
So what you have told us, does this apply to all benefit plans, or every company has a different stake on it?
So there are different types of pensions out there. This applies to the plans that are called the defined benefit pension plans, where your promise from your employer is, for example, I will pay you a pension of 2% of your annual earnings for every year that you've worked. So the employee works for years expecting that promise to happen. And now the company is saying, oh, we can't afford to pay that.
Right. So why do you think that in this particular case, is bankruptcy protection necessary for this?
So, I mean, I think bankruptcy protection is critical. And may I just put a plug in for our to your viewers to ask them if they agree with this, to please go and sign our petition.
Right.
It's at carp.ca/pensioners, or just go to our carp.ca website and we have it flagged there.
Right.
We want the federal government to hear from all Canadians that it's not okay to leave pensioners at the back of the line. So what do I think? I mean, bankruptcy protection, I think, is a fairly easy ask because it's federal. We don't have to go province by province, and it's certainly the right thing to do. Of course, there are situations where even bankruptcy protection isn't enough, because if a company doesn't have assets, how can they pay pensioners? But typically the company has enough assets, they're just being given to other creditors first.
Okay. Now, even if there is super priority protection, still, pensioners are in the lurch?
Yeah, well, so this will go a long way to helping, but we could potentially have a situation where even without even when we have this protection, if there's no assets in the company, there's no money for the pensioners. And I think a next phase of our campaign would be to ask all provinces, so to ask BC to follow in the steps of Ontario and introduce a pension plan funded insurance program for pensioners, so that if a company does go bankrupt and doesn't have assets, that it's not the pensioners that are put to the sword.
That's interesting information. We'll go for a short break, and when we come back, we'd like to learn a little bit more about where does Canada stand as far as other countries are concerned. You talked about a little bit about England and other places, but in Canada itself, do provinces have their own separate laws regarding protection of these pensioners, or is it just a general rule? So we'll talk about this after this short break.
Okay.
ਹੁਣ ਤੱਕ ਜੋ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਹੋਈ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵਾਂਡਾ ਮੌਰਿਸ ਨੇ ਹੀ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਹੈ, ਖਾਸ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਭ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਸੀਅਰਸ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਜੋ ਪੈਨਸ਼ਨਰਸ ਨੂੰ ਪੈਨਸ਼ਨਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਦਿੱਤੀਆਂ ਜਾਣੀਆਂ, ਉਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਚਰਚਾ ਹੋਈ। ਸੋ ਕਾਰਪ ਉਹ ਐਡਵੋਕੇਸੀ ਗਰੁੱਪ ਹੈਗਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਮੁੱਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਅੱਗੇ ਲਿਆ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਦੀ ਪੈਨਸ਼ਨ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਗਰੰਟਿਡ ਨਹੀਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਹੈ। ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੀ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਬੁਲੰਦ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ carp.ca ਤੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪਟੀਸ਼ਨ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਉੱਥੇ ਸਾਈਨ ਕਰੋ, ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਤੱਕ ਇਹ ਮੈਸੇਜ ਜਾ ਸਕੇ ਕਿ ਪੈਨਸ਼ਨਰਸ ਦੀ ਪੈਨਸ਼ਨ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰੋਟੈਕਟ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਵੇ। ਇਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਹੋਰ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲੈਣੇ ਇਸ ਛੋਟੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ। ਸਾਰੀਆਂ 에ਅਰਲਾਈਨਸ ਦੀਆਂ ਟਿਕਟਸ ਤੇ ਬਿਹਤਰੀਨ ਕਸਟਮਰ ਸਰਵਿਸ ਲਈ ਮਸ਼ਹੂਰ ਹੈ ਸਪ੍ਰਿੰਗ ਟਰੈਵਲਸ। ਇੰਡੀਆ, ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨ ਜਾਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਮੁਲਕ ਦੀਆਂ ਟਿਕਟਸ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਥੋਂ ਵਾਜਬ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ ਤੇ ਲੈ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਪੈਕੇਜ ਟੂਰਸ, ਕਰੂਜ਼ਸ, ਗਰੁੱਪ ਟਰੈਵਲਸ, ਹਨੀਮੂਨ ਪੈਕੇਜਸ ਲਈ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਸਿਸ ਆਫਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ। ਹੁਣ ਆਨਲਾਈਨ ਟਿਕਟਸ ਵੀ springtravels.ca ਤੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਬੁੱਕ ਕਰਵਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਸਰੀ ਤੇ ਐਬਟਸਫੋਰਡ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਦਫ਼ਤਰਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ ਕੇ ਅਜ਼ਮਾ ਕੇ ਵੇਖੋ। ਯੂ ਵਿਲ ਫੀਲ ਦ ਡਿਫਰੈਂਸ। Surrey office 604-501-4040, Abbotsford office 604-556-4000। ਵਾਂਡਾ ਮੌਰਿਸ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਵਾਈਸ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਟ ਹਨ ਕਾਪ ਦੇ ਐਡਵੋਕੇਸੀ ਗਰੁੱਪ ਦੇ, ਉਹ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਅੱਜ ਸਟੂਡੀਓ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਦੱਸ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਕਿਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਪੈਨਸ਼ਨਸ ਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰੋਟੈਕਟ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਇਹ ਐਡਵੋਕੇਸੀ ਗਰੁੱਪ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ। ਆਓ ਇਸੇ ਸੰਬੰਧ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋਰ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ। So before the break, Wanda, like you mentioned in details about keeping Sears Canada into consideration, there are many other companies which can go like Sears did. When we talk about Canada as such, first tell us, as far as other countries are concerned, where do we stand? How much protection is there? And secondly, as far as the provinces are concerned, do they have separate laws governing these pension plans?
So I would say that unfortunately Canada is a laggard in protecting our pensioners.
Okay.
When we look at other countries, for example, the European Union has one of their provisions is that pensioners have rights be protected. It's it's a accepted practice of business. In the UK, we've got insurance protection as well as in the US, but for some reason, pensioners in Canada are really not given those protections. And I think one of the reasons is partly what you alluded to is this different by province. And in Canada, much of what we do is determined on a province by province basis.
Right.
The bankruptcy protection can be provided by the federal government.
Okay.
But when we talk about things like insurance protection, then we need to go province by province.
Right.
So in Ontario, there is some insurance protection.
Okay.
Currently, the first $1,000 of every monthly payment to every pensioner is protected by a pension plan funded program. That's a start. But if you're expecting a pension of $50,000 a year, getting $12,000 protected isn't really going to cut it for you.
Right.
I mean, it's certainly better than zero, but we want to have more. So we are encouraging Ontario to increase that and for all other provinces to implement a similar program.
Okay. And this petition, which is on carp.ca.pensioners, you're saying, what are you requesting the federal government? What changes are you demanding? And in case it is accepted by the federal government, will it deter foreign companies to invest into Canada?
Good point. So what we're focusing on what we think is the easiest change, and that would have made a difference to many pensioners, from Nortel or Royal Oak Mines or Indilex, other companies that have gone bankrupt and left their pensioners without assets. So it's a pretty simple, straightforward change to just change the Bankruptcy Act to give pensioners super priorities. There has been questions raised, well, if we do that, does that make us uncompetitive? So here's the reality. If you or I are out to purchase something, whether it's a car or a company, we're not deciding whether or not we want to purchase it. We're deciding whether we want to purchase it at a given price. So it may be that once we give pensioners the full protection that they deserve, that the price an investor pays for a company will slightly decrease. But I think that's an absolutely fair and reasonable decision. One of the things that I think has horrified so many people about Sears is that while the pensioners are not getting are at risk of losing their assets, the company has set aside $9 million to pay their executives. It's a question of priority.
Absolutely. What are the priorities they need to be looked into?
Yes.
Thanks for sharing this information. But now that you are going to be in Surrey, based in Surrey at unit number 204-5668 192nd Street, tell us, lots of viewers who are watching this program all over Canada, if they have some issues regarding pensions or any other issues, will CARP advocate their issues?
So we're always interested to hear from our members about what issues are important to them. Our members get a poll. We usually do one once a month, so that whenever we're advocating, we say to the government, not just this is what Wanda or what a few staff members think. We say this is what our members think. And the governments are very swayed by our polls, so that's a great way for members to participate. We also often hear about issues because our members raise them. And they can do that by writing us or by sending us an email at advocacy@carp.ca and saying CARP should look at this issue. And some of the issues that we have looked at have been because of correspondence just like that. Unfortunately, because of our resources, we are never able to help individuals. But what we can do is help them take their stories and work for changes in the system to make it better for all of us.
And to be a member of CARP, what is the prerequisite for that?
We welcome everyone to be members, and the more members we have, the stronger our voices. So we really encourage all your members to join, not only to do good with our advocacy, but also to do well. We have some great benefits that our members all will have access to. They can call our CARP number or simply join by going to carp.ca. Love to have new members.
Great. It was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for your time, and we hope more of these issues are advocated by CARP, as you have been doing in previously also, and these issues come forward and the government listens to you. Thank you very much and best wishes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
ਸੋ ਜੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕੀਤੀ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਵੋਂਡਾ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਹੁਣ ਬੇਸ ਨੇ ਸਰੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ ਇਹ ਜੋਏ ਟੀਵੀ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਆਫਿਸ ਹੈ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਆਫਿਸ ਖੋਲ੍ਹਿਆ ਹੈਗਾ। ਕਾਪ ਉਹ ਸੰਸਥਾ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਮੁੱਦਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਅੱਗੇ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਹੈ। ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਹੀ ਦ ਹਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਅੱਗੇ ਪ੍ਰਮੋਟ ਕਰਦਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਤੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਰਹਾਂਗੇ। ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਵੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਮੁੱਦੇ ਹੋਣਗੇ। ਕਲੈਕਟਿਵਲੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਤੱਕ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ, ਪਰ ਇੰਡੀਵਿਜੂਅਲੀ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਸੁਣੇ। ਸੋ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਕਾਪ ਦੇ ਮੈਂਬਰ ਬਣੋ। ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਸਿਰਫ $10-15 ਸਾਲ ਦੇ ਨੇ, ਉਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਸ ਦੇ ਬੈਨੀਫਿਟਸ ਵੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਮਿਲਦੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਐਡਵੋਕੇਟ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ। ਇਸ ਸੰਬੰਧ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲੈਣੀ ਹੋਏ ਤਾਂ carp.ca ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲੈ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਸੰਪਰਕ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ।